It was supposed to be a quiet day in court. A husband walked in, confident and smiling. Beside him sat his mistress, holding his hand. Across the room, his wife, calm and composed, waited for the divorce to be finalized. But what happened next? No one in that courtroom expected. Not the husband, not the mistress, and certainly not the judge, who would turn the entire hearing into a lesson that left everyone silent. This is the story of how one moment of arrogance turned into a courtroom reckoning, and how a black woman, betrayed by her husband, walked out not broken, but stronger than ever. For 15 years, Denise Walker had believed her marriage was unshakable. She and her husband, Thomas, lived in Atlanta, Georgia. They had built a comfortable life together, a home, a business, and 2 teenage sons. Denise worked as a consultant, managing the family's growing logistics company. Thomas was the public face, handling clients and negotiations. They were a team. At least that's what Denise believed. But then, she started noticing the little things. Late-night phone calls, secretive messages, a new cologne she hadn't bought. And one evening, as she was tidying his jacket, she found a restaurant bill tucked inside, 2 glasses of wine, 2 entrees, and on the back, a handwritten note that said, "Last night was perfect." Denise felt her stomach drop. She wanted to believe there was an innocent explanation. But soon, the truth unfolded piece by piece. Thomas had been seeing another woman, a younger one named Lauren. When Denise confronted him, he didn't deny it. He just said he'd found someone who made him feel alive again. No apology, no shame, just a cold goodbye. Days later, he moved out, and weeks after that, the divorce papers came in the mail. Denise could have fought it. She could have begged him to reconsider. But she didn't. She signed the papers quietly and prepared to face the process with dignity. Still, she had no idea how cruel that final day would feel. The morning of the hearing arrived. Denise dressed carefully, a navy blue suit. Her hair pulled back and no jewelry except her wedding ring, still on her finger. For the last time. She arrived early. Documents neatly organized in a folder. Her attorney whispered to her, "Stay calm. You've done everything right." Then the doors opened, and everyone turned. Thomas entered the courtroom with Lauren by his side. She was young, stylish and dressed in white, not a wedding dress, but close enough to make a statement. Her hand clung tightly to his arm, as if declaring victory. The air went heavy with discomfort. Even the judge, a calm man named Harold Peterson, raised his eyebrows, but Thomas didn't seem to notice. He walked to his seat with a smirk, as if proud to show off the woman who replaced his wife. Denise didn't move. She sat still, her face expressionless, but her silence spoke louder than any words. The proceedings began. Thomas's lawyer argued that Denise didn't need much financial support. He claimed she was capable, independent, and already had income from her consulting work. He said the affair had nothing to do with the divorce settlement. Judge Peterson listened quietly. Then he turned to Thomas. "Mr. Walker," he said, "is that your companion sitting beside you today?" Thomas smiled. "Yes, Your Honor. This is Lauren." The judge paused. "Miss, are you aware that your presence here is inappropriate? This is a private legal matter between spouses." Lauren shifted in her seat. Thomas replied confidently, "We just wanted to be open about everything." The judge leaned forward. Open or disrespectful? The room fell silent. Then the judge picked up the file in front of him. He said, "According to your financial records, the Walker business was built during your marriage. Both of you contributed equally, correct?" Thomas hesitated. "Well, yes, but I handled most of the operations." The judge nodded. "And who managed the records? The clients? The home?" Thomas sighed. "Denise did." The judge closed the folder slowly. "Then this is not your business alone. It's a partnership. And this court will treat it that way." Thomas's lawyer objected, but the judge raised his hand. "Objection overruled. Assets will be divided equally, including the business, properties, and investments." Denise's eyes stayed forward. She didn't smile, didn't react, just listened. Then came the next blow. Judge Peterson said, "As for spousal support, it's clear that Mrs. Walker has suffered financially and emotionally due to this abrupt end. Mr. Walker, you will pay monthly support for the next 5 years." Thomas's expression changed instantly. His confidence drained away. Lauren's smirk disappeared. But the judge wasn't finished. He flipped another page. "Mrs. Walker," he said, "you're also listed as founder of the Walker Foundation, correct?" Denise nodded softly. "Yes, Your Honor, it's a scholarship fund for young women." The judge smiled faintly. "Then I hereby grant you full ownership and control of that foundation. Mr. Walker's name will be removed from all documents immediately." Thomas looked stunned. Lauren whispered something under her breath. Judge Peterson heard her. He turned to her calmly and said, "Young lady, when you attend a hearing like this, you become part of someone else's pain. I hope that weight means something to you." No one spoke, not even the attorneys. Then, in a steady voice, the judge concluded, "Mrs. Walker, your marriage is officially dissolved. You leave this courtroom today as a free woman, entitled to everything you helped build. Mr. Walker, let this be a reminder that arrogance has a cost." The gavel struck. It was over. Thomas sat motionless. Lauren's face turned red. Denise stood, thanked the judge, and walked out. Reporters outside caught her as she exited the courthouse. One of them asked, "Mrs. Walker, how do you feel?" She paused for a moment, then said, "I didn't come here for revenge. I came for peace." That quote spread everywhere. Within days, her story went viral, shared across social media and news outlets. Not because of the drama, but because of her calm strength. People admired her silence, her composure, her refusal to let betrayal turn her bitter. Legal experts later discussed the case as a rare example of a judge emphasizing partnership and respect in marital property law. They pointed out that while infidelity doesn't always change financial outcomes, it can influence a court's perception of fairness and conduct. Thomas's decision to bring his mistress into the courtroom was seen as an insult to both his wife and the legal process. Judge Peterson's ruling wasn't just about money. It was about dignity. It recognized that emotional labor, loyalty, and shared work matter, that a woman's contribution doesn't disappear just because her husband finds someone new. Today, Denise continues to run her firm and her foundation. She mentors young women, teaching them about confidence, boundaries, and financial independence. When she speaks publicly, she never names her ex-husband. She simply says, "I learned that strength isn't loud. Sometimes it's quiet and steady." As for Thomas, he sold his business shares and moved to another state. His relationship with Lauren didn't last long after the divorce was finalized. Years later, Denise reflected on that courtroom day in an interview. She said, "Peace isn't about winning. It's about knowing you did what was right, even when others didn't." And maybe that's why her story still resonates, because true power doesn't come from revenge, it comes from grace. The husband walked into court thinking he'd already won, but when the gavel fell, it was the woman he betrayed who walked out free, calm, composed, and completely unbroken.